All right, everybody, welcome into Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice. Paul Russo, man, myth, legend himself, Nick Felice next to me. You'll be hearing from the great beyond, the voice of the wonderful Nate Sharman producing everything behind the scenes. Boys, a little bit later in the week than we usually do, but this might be the way it is in the future, at least for a little while, or until we kind of figure stuff out here even more. But we've been doing the daily show, obviously, and that's kind of why we're delayed in the week a little bit. So hopefully everybody's been checking that out. If you haven't, really recommend it. We have a lot of great stuff. Nate made his debut behind the desk today and did a phenomenal job. Excellent job by you, Nate.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. A lot of fun. Was able to host with Rebecca Swift today. So, like you said, Paul, be sure to check that out. Go back on the 24/7 stream or on our Facebook page, and those videos live there.
Yeah. So a lot to get to, Nick, but it's been 10 days since I've seen you. Congratulations to your cousin Kyle and his wife Annie on their wedding over the weekend.
Thank you. It was very tough on me.
But it looks like, and I know like a lot of your family, so I do say this. It looked like you guys were having a fantastic time, and that's awesome to see that at least most of the family was able to get together. So
thank you.
Yeah, but a lot of fun.
Good to see you too.
Thank you. But a lot of fun for you. How was Jack? How did Jack treat you?
We talk about Jack the Casino.
Why not both? Why not both? Why not both?
Well, I guess if you have the name Jack, I guess you get a free T-shirt. So you got a free
Wait, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you went to Jack Casino, got a free T-shirt.
Nice.
And it was a good time.
It's good to hear.
Won a little bit of money, so.
And you stayed over in a really nice little part of Cleveland in the Playhouse District. So
yeah.
It looked like you guys were able. I didn't have to tell you too much where to go. You guys were able to find your way around. So.
Yeah, it was fun. Good time.
Well, yeah, a lot to kind of get to. We'll jump right in and start with a battle that was between our two college football squads. Wasn't exactly the best game for my Syracuse Orange, but for your Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Nick. Big 41-24 victory in the Dome on Saturday.
Yeah, I only got the chance to catch the beginning of it because of the wedding, but because it was at noon. So I did see the pick six at the beginning. That was pretty cool. Obviously, be a lot bigger of a win if Notre Dame didn't have 3 losses on their schedule already, but still something, to go into the Dome and get the win pretty handily. So,
it was. There were moments where, and I've gotten. I wouldn't say roasted, but I feel like I think people are kind of misinterpreting what I've kind of said through the week.
And you didn't go, right?
No. I had travel plans. They fell through. Ticket was on the market and sold. It kind of is what it is.
Sell it.
Yes. But like I said, I think a lot of people are kind of misunderstood what I kind of said to them earlier in the week. I'm not saying like it was a good game for Syracuse, but I mean, I like the defense was out there again for a long while in that game for the Orange, to the point where that's where I say like the 41-24 score is not truly indicative in my mind of what it actually was. Was it still probably a +1 possession game? Yeah, I think really, to me, if anything you want to look at, the score is maybe closer to being like a 34-ish 24 type style. Mainly like the play that sticks out, right? It's that pick six at the beginning that Schrader threw. But I thought, to me, that was probably the true low point of the Syracuse offense in a lot of way. Obviously, Schrader gets hurt, and they bring in Carlos Del Rio Wilson, who transferred from Florida. And I know Dino has said that there's no quarterback controversy, but I wouldn't be opposed to there being some sort of controversy. I think I'm certainly in the minority of saying this, but to me, I think Del Rio Wilson is really close to what Garrett Schrader is. Yeah. I mean, I know you didn't see at least the stuff live, but watching Del Rio Wilson live was kind of incredible, to be honest with you. He's a bit bigger than Schrader. They're a similar height, but Del Rio Wilson's a bit more built in that regard. And to me, his speed is equal to Schrader. I think he has a better arm than Schrader. I think Schrader is just more accurate than Del Rio Wilson at this time. But I want to go back to Notre Dame real quick before I guess we really jump into any more Syracuse dialogue, because this is a team in Notre Dame that I thought could make the college football playoff at the beginning of the year. I think the stuff, especially the month of September for them, is just indicative of it's a young-ish team. with a obviously rookie head coach in Freeman, and I think that there were mistakes on the sideline and on the field. And within the past few weeks, I know obviously the Stanford loss is the one that sticks out the worst, maybe even worse than Marshall in some ways. But this is a very pesky Notre Dame team. At the very worst, they are a pesky team that you can't take lightly.
Who gave Ohio State a run for the
exactly
on the opening game?
Right. So obviously, and they dealt with injury too, right? I mean, Pine, Pine is not used to maybe situations like this in a way. But to me, the two-headed monster, I know Estime got the kind of, I guess, the really main rushing attack. I mean, he had 20 carries, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground, which, I mean, that's numbers that we expect probably from the guy on the other side of the ball, Sean Tucker. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot to build off of if you're the Fighting Irish here. Obviously, you're one away from bowl eligibility. It's going to be tough this weekend to get it with Clemson coming to South Bend. But I know a lot of people are joking about because Notre Dame, it's wild to see their metrics. I know we aren't big on it, but they are wildly more consistent and a better team on the road than they are at home this year. It's kind of crazy. So maybe Clemson travels super well like they always do, and it kind of feels like an away game at South Bend, and you guys just pull off the upset this week.
It could be. Well, do you know what the line is?
I can look it up quick, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't think Notre Dame has lost to Syracuse since that Greg Robinson game.
2008, yeah.
The big upset there.
The last second field goal, yeah. So
that was at Notre Dame too, wasn't it?
It was. I remember watching that game. Nate will get a chuckle from this. One of my friends at the time had a hockey game up in Syracuse that I ended up going to, and while we were waiting in the lobby, I can't remember the rink, but I remember watching on this very crappy, like 13-inch tube TV in the corner, Syracuse get a field goal through.
That's unlocked some memories there, Paul.
Yes, I can't remember the barn though. I feel bad. I know it was somewhere over. I want to say in the like southwest side of the city. I know that probably doesn't help.
You know my taste in hockey rinks, so that sounds like a barn I'd like.
Yeah, I feel bad. I can't remember where exactly it was, but I figured you'd at least enjoy it.
It was 2008, Paul. Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah, I figured you'd at least enjoy the enjoy the reference there for that. Yeah, it was good to see at least Sean Tucker get more carries anyway.
How many did he get?
He had 10.
Oh.
So
yeah,
we're progressing in the right direction compared to everything else. Before we get into what is going to be by far to me the game of the week and other games for the weekend, college football playoff first rankings come out. A little bit of an interesting top, we'll call it 6 the way they do it. Yeah. Syracuse got in the first week at 20, which is above where they are in the AP and coaches poll at 22, respectively in those two, but they sit 20 in the college football playoff. So obviously,
need 19 teams.
I want to say obviously that low. It's not whatever, but
they can get in a BCS bowl still.
Notably, yes, in the college football playoff in the top 6, which is really the highlighted group that they look at. TCU at 7, hard to swallow pill for me. I think I'd put them above Alabama right now.
Yeah, but this is college football.
I know.
So they're not going to do that.
5th was Michigan, and I'd probably put them at 4 where Clemson is, personally. But that's something that I didn't put in here to talk about. But what did you make of that fight, quick? That Michigan State and Michigan had.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Not surprising. I mean, they're rivals.
Yeah.
But
a rivalry that's really heated up the past 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it don't matter. I mean, Michigan State's been down for a while now.
Yeah.
But they still don't like each other.
No.
I think it could be even bigger than that.
That's been associated as a basketball rivalry most of the time, at least in our lifetimes. Yeah. But no, I mean,
Ohio State's not big.
I think a lot of ways. I know somebody brought up the fact. I can't remember if it was a Michigan fan. Exactly, they said that they hate Michigan State more than they hate Ohio State at this point. So
I bet.
Take that for what it's worth. So anyway, the top 4, the 4 teams that would make the college football playoff at the start today: Tennessee at 1, Ohio State at 2, Georgia at 3, and Clemson at 4.
I agree with you with the Clemson one. They shouldn't be in. Michigan should be in.
I don't know if I'd put Tennessee at 1. I'm a Tennessee, I guess, supporter in that sense. Like, I do think that they're good. I think that they deserve to be in the top 4. I don't know if I'd put them at 1 though.
I think Georgia should be ahead of Ohio State.
I personally think, and I think I'm going to get. This is probably go where if we had your why come up here in college football, this is where it'd be. I personally probably would have Michigan at 1.
Michigan
to be honest.
At 1.
Yeah. To me, their body of work out of the top 6 teams is the best filled. They've had one close game, but other than that, they tend to go out there and dominate, keep everybody at arm's length.
But I want you to be real with me,
Yeah.
Paul. You know they're not going to win the national championship, right?
Well, who do you think will?
It's definitely not going to be the Big Ten.
I don't know. No,
Definitely not going to be Michigan.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but like in the way that it's been this year for college
Georgia,
football.
or if Alabama sneaks in. It's the SEC.
I mean, we have a legitimate chance of having 3 SEC teams in the Final Four.
There is a chance of that.
Which is kind of wild to think about. Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think really the only true gripe though I do have is probably the fact TCU's not in the top 6. They go out. I mean, it's tough to me. I mean, Alabama's obviously they dropped a game, right? They lost to Tennessee. Obviously, everybody knows about the game, but they probably should have lost that game. And I know that they won, and everything at the end of the day is about winning, but they probably should have lost that game at Texas. Mm-hmm. They have it's not gonna be easy for them.
Well, you remember back in the day, TCU and Boise State.
Yeah,
they never let them play the national championship game.
TCU's Big 12 though now.
They're not high in the Big 12.
No,
the Big 12 is definitely dying here.
I don't know about that.
With Oklahoma and Texas leaving, I don't know if there's gonna be.
They're bringing in Cincinnati and Houston. They're bringing in some schools. BYU.
Just sounds like the American too.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think in that sense, but I mean, they still have some programs there. It's not like
I think
I want to be
Michigan
that guy.
should be in, but I know they're not going to win national championship.
Texas hasn't been relevant since 2008.
Michigan should be in, but I know they won't never win a national championship. And Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, TCU should be ahead of Alabama, but they won't. They never will.
Yeah, I mean,
they'll never jump them.
Yeah. So game day this week, as we look ahead, they're at Tennessee and Georgia for. It's not, I guess, true game of the century, quote unquote, where it's 1 and 2, but this is on paper the biggest regular season game in college football in a long, long while, ranking wise. Every ranking pretty much has these guys 1, 2, or 3. Take your pick out of which one and where.
Whoa. Wasn't Notre Dame Clemson a top 4 matchup a couple years ago?
Yeah, but was it?
It was close. I have to look it up. It was a couple years ago. They beat them without,
right.
Lawrence didn't play.
True. But
I get it. This is a bigger game.
This is big because I think this kind of lays the groundwork for, I think, what I've said before about the college football playoff, what you've said before about the college football playoff, what I think a lot of people have said before about the college football playoff. Because to me, as much as this game should be relevant to it, it's not going to be necessarily. Because I think the only true loser here potentially is Georgia. If Georgia somehow goes out and gets throttled by Tennessee, which I don't see happening, I think we are staring down the barrel of pretty much 3 teams from the SEC in the college football playoff.
It's never happened.
Right. We've had 2 from the same conference, but never 3. So
it's still going to be tough.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of headliners here, right? You have obviously Georgia. We know about them, right? Defending champions. Stetson Bennett at quarterback for them, but he certainly, this time for sure, is not the best quarterback in this game, right? I mean, that goes to Hayden Hooker, who pretty much is the Heisman frontrunner. To me, I think he's pretty much the lock-in at this point. Mm-hmm. And to me, he's so dynamic compared to Bennett that, I think that could be where the X factor is. And I know Tennessee's defense does not stack up to where Georgia's is, and it's not even really close. It's 130 yards, we'll call it, difference, without having to get into decimals and carrying numbers. This is a big game. I mean, but to me, I don't think it's a blowout either way. I'll put it to you this way. I don't think it's a blowout either way. Can't see how it would be a blowout either way. But currently the line on it is 8 points. Georgia -8 at home. I would take Tennessee to cover. Georgia to win outright. But this is a game to me. I mean, we talked about how we didn't think maybe that Alabama-Tennessee game would be last-second field goal. This really screams to me last-second field goal.
Do you guys get 2019 LSU vibes from this Tennessee team?
I wouldn't say necessarily.
There's some similarities, but yeah.
There definitely are similarities.
Right.
I'm not going to deny that. I think the difference between this Tennessee team compared to the 19 LSU team, the core of this Tennessee team has been there for pretty much 4 years. Hooker, to be fair, has been the de facto starter of the past, including this season, 2.5 seasons. Some spots where they went matchup-wise, or he's been pulled because he's just been playing super bad. But he's pretty much been there like a quarterback, for example, for 2.5 years. Compared to, obviously, Burrow was a transfer in, had 2 years at the helm. But, even then, that first year, I remember that first year with Burrow, what would be his technically, I think, junior year with LSU. There were questions about him, whether he would hold that job all year.
Right.
And really, the past couple of years, there hasn't been that with Hooker necessarily, especially this year. I mean, Hooker has not had any doubts about him.
So it sounds like you think they're better than the 2019 LSU team.
I think if I had to stack them up, yeah, I think the only difference would probably be, again, defense, where Tennessee is just not. They're fairly middle of the road in that regard defensively. They're not bad. I don't want to make it sound like Tennessee's a bad defense, but compared to even look at what Georgia's bringing, I mean, it's kind of night and day-ish.
They also didn't have Coach O.
Right, they didn't have the catcher's mitt coaching them, but. For your bettors out there, right? Tennessee is 7-1-0 against the spread this year, and Georgia's 4-4 against the spread. So take that for what it's worth in the betting sphere. But I do think Georgia. I think that defense, like I said, it gives me last possession vibes. It just does.
I have a divisions question.
Sure.
Is Georgia and Tennessee in the same division?
Yeah, I believe they're in the East. Yeah, they're in the East.
So Alabama is probably going to get their shot at one of them.
Alabama will get their shot back at one of them, yeah. Whether it's obviously Tennessee getting back to them or not. I'm being honest with you. I'm not high on Alabama the rest of the way. Again, a major headline that we haven't mentioned, right? Brian Harsin gets fired from Auburn. And, I mean, you look at the way college football's been this year, the couple teams that have fired coaches so far, well, it's more than a couple, but the teams that have fired coaches so far, they've played significantly better these post-weeks since. Georgia Tech is the one that really stands out to me personally, obviously because I pay attention more to the ACC than the others, but they've played significantly better. Nebraska's played better. Even Wisconsin's played better. Arizona State's played better. I wouldn't want to play a team that you have players out there who are more or less either trying out to stay with whoever that head coach is coming in next year, which I'm going to drop a nugget here. I personally think it's going to be Jimbo Fisher. Or, you're trying out for wherever you're going to transfer, right? Whether it's Tennessee or Georgia or whoever. I mean, you're going to want to go out there and you're going to want to play to that coach and say, I should be wide out one. I should be DB one. I should be, center one. So, and this Alabama team, it's a lot like Clemson, I think, now. I don't think this is the worst Alabama team Saban's had, not by a long shot. I mean, those first couple of years for him are bad. But I think in this college football playoff era, this is probably the worst team that he's had, which, again, not saying much, but, take it for what it's worth. Syracuse Pitt Saturday, 3:30.
I'll be there.
Pitt.
No.
Knowing you, though, I wouldn't doubt it. Pitt's a bit of a pesky team. They are a 4 or 3.5 point favorite, but I think this is a good game for Syracuse to get right.
Hopefully. Yeah. Where's your concern level if they lose this game?
It starts to get up there again a little bit. I brought this up a little bit. I'm not saying fire Dino Babers by any means, but I think we know what this team is very much so capable of talent-wise out there. I just wonder if Dino is the coach to take them to the next step.
You have to take away what happened in the Notre Dame game.
No, I do. I look back more on the Clemson
they had
stuff.
Clemson on the ropes. They
Yeah.
had them
Yeah. No, I'm with
at
you.
Clemson
Yeah.
with the big home winning streak.
Obviously, you mentioned, or Nate, you mentioned off area Alabama LSU this night 7 p.m. nightcap game. That's a pretty big one. Still think Alabama's gonna.
Over Brian Kelly?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah, give me Alabama.
Hate to break the news to you. Texas at Kansas State. That's a Big 12 ranked matchup. Clemson and Notre Dame. I'm being honest with you. I could see Notre Dame getting the upset here. I really could.
What time's that game at?
It's a 7:30 game.
After the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah. I know what you're thinking, but I do like them there. Wake Forest, NC State, 21 versus 22. Sneaky little good game there. Obviously in the ACC, so college football, you got your choice really on Saturday and really through the weekend of stuff to watch, I'd say. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump over to the NFL. Some major stuff going on over there. Should we start with the Paul Russo Homer Hour, or should we go with the trade deadline?
Paul Russo Homer Hour.
All right, Dan Snyder, owner of the Washington Commanders, my beloved Washington Commanders, has hired Bank of America to be quote unquote his advisors in the exploring selling of the team. Now it's come out and said it could be for the whole team, it could be a majority stake of the team, it could be a minority stake of the team. Anything's on the table, but the fact of the matter is Dan Snyder is looking at selling something of the Washington football squad. And that's big. Obviously, the Justice Department opened up another investigation yesterday into the financial side of things. Obviously, we know what's going on the sexual harassment side of things with Washington. Of all guys, Jim Irsay's banging the drum on having him be into forced sell from the ownership side. It's been quite the 2 weeks for me as a Washington Commander fan. And I'm happy about it. I mean, this is a guy who I refuse.
And the team's winning.
Much to their own chagrin. This is a guy who I refuse to purchase merchandise because of. And I know it's a small nickel pretty much in the pot of him because he's a rich guy, but and not to say, like, look, I know I have some Washington stuff, but that's gifted to me.
You
I
got a
can't
football
force
team
people.
hat.
I do, but I can't force if it's a gifted to me.
Oh,
You know.
it was a gift.
Yeah, I can't force if it's gifted to me at that point. I'm not going to refuse it because somebody was being kind to me, right? But I'm not going to give my own money to that guy.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, this is a pretty big NFL news line because Washington's technically still a very valuable franchise. It's one of the most historic franchises, really, going back to 1932. I mean, they're celebrating their 90th anniversary season this year. So yesterday was a whirlwind day for me, getting that notification. So it will be an interesting rest of the season at this point for Washington. Obviously, you mentioned that they're kind of turning the corner a little bit with Heineke, and I think we all know where I kind of stand on him overall. But
You like him.
he's a backup for a reason. You haven't lived through an ownership sell point from the Giants side. It's always been in the Moras. But Nate, you're a Bills fan. You went through it because of, unfortunately, Ralph Wilson passing. But certainly the Pagulas coming in kind of breathed new life into the Bills. I mean, look at what they're doing now.
Yeah, definitely. And we were a little scared that John Bon Jovi was going to buy the Bills, among others, and move them to Canada.
Move them to Trenton, New Jersey.
Or Trenton. There was still some scare between the Bills getting moved to Penn State. Pagulas got a lot involved in there. That was never really on the table. That was kind of more of a threat to get the new stadium deal done. Right. But, yeah, Pagulas, they've done a great job in Buffalo so far, especially with the Bills. And now we're seeing the Sabres kind of getting turned around. So they're starting to get the right people in place. They've done that the last few years. So they've done a great job.
I got to say, that new Bills stadium looks pretty sick.
Should be domed.
I disagree. No, I like the way they constructed it.
Yeah, can catch me not there in January.
You're gonna be blocked from the wind pretty good there, though, with the overhanging.
I'm not concerned about the wind. I can deal with the snow. I can deal with the wind, but it has to be one or the other. It can't be both.
It'd be kind of covered, though. I mean,
Paul's a fan.
Nah. Just build a dome in downtown.
It's all right. You won't have to watch the Washington football team in January, so it's fine.
You're right. All I know is pain.
Actually, I think there's a week 7. There's week 17 now, so actually,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, actually, technically speaking, they are in January. All I know is pain. Okay, let's head over to trade deadline. It seemingly was a more active NFL trade deadline. We usually don't get those, but it was certainly a more unique experience. The Bills kind of shore up their defense a little bit. Obviously, kind of dealing with some injury, even though White's due back this weekend, I think, right? Or is it next weekend?
They activated him from the list, but
he's in the 21-day window then, isn't he?
No, they activated him from that now.
Oh, okay.
Too, and he doesn't have an injury designation for this week, but there's no one's really sure yet if they're going to play.
So realistically, it's within the next 2 weeks then.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they hold him out this week and then get him ready for next week.
But go out, they get Dean Marlowe from the Falcons, kind of help out in the secondary a little bit. A Falcons defense, it's kind of, despite being hit and miss, has actually been pretty good.
The first place Falcons defense.
There you go. Also, the Bills trying to shore up a position I've been saying for a while. They need to shore up a little bit, but they get Naheem Hines from the Colts for Zach Moss and a conditional 5th-round pick. Hines, I think he's going to do a lot of work in that passing game, I'd assume. Kind of what he's been with the Colts, more or less. Kind of operating in that window.
There was a great report from practice yesterday. Stephon Diggs and Allen together were watching him, and they both looked at each other and they go, "Wow, that guy's fast."
Yeah. I mean,
they liked him a lot coming out of college.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who, I mean, really to be fair, the Colts almost fully didn't take Jonathan Taylor in a way. Because at the time they had Marlon Mack, they had Hines, and they kind of figured that potentially Hines would kind of actually eclipse Mack. But obviously didn't happen. And
none of them are Joseph Adai, though.
Never forget Edgerrin James.
I'm interested to see what they do with Zach Moss. They also have Deion Jackson there, who played really well in that game when Hines and Taylor came out a couple weeks ago. Did a really good job on my fantasy team, too, that week, so I'll always remember that.
Calvin Ridley is a Jaguar. There's a lot of different stipulations trade-wise or draft pick-wise compensation go back to the Falcons, so I'll skip over that. But interesting that the Jaguars looking really down the line on that one.
He's gone the whole year, right?
Yes, yeah.
Is he coming back?
No, not this year. It's a full-year suspension for him. So, Bradley Chubb goes from the Broncos to the Dolphins. Dolphins shore up them and on defense a little bit of defense that I think a lot of people had high hopes of going into the year.
Do you think Dolphins fans like your brother reacted? They thought they got Nick Chubb?
No. I'm guessing they're pretty content with offense at this point. And he signed an extension to stay with them. So that's a pretty big plus there. Chase Claypool, who some people were convinced was going to Green Bay, ends up going to the Bears, who were selling off, sending the Bears, who sell off on defense especially, right? Joakim Smith going to Baltimore, Quinn going to Philadelphia. So, and then to me, the big trade that kind of got probably swept under the rug in all honesty is T.J. Hockenson going from Detroit to Minnesota.
Yeah. Kind
of wild, especially to me. That's big fantasy-wise.
Yeah, that's huge.
I mean, I know Kirk has been using tight ends more this year, and especially Irv Smith, who's going to be on the IR, and that's big. That's big. Hockenson, also longevity-wise.
What's Dan Campbell? What's his thoughts?
I don't know. I'm worried for my guy. That's for sure.
From coach of the year to on the hot seat.
Yeah. Hate to see it from you. That's why Brian Daboll is getting coach of the year. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, they got to keep it up. I mean, if they start losing some games here.
Right. Hasn't been, it wasn't, I'd say, a full-fledged week of kind of anything to really talk about, but the Bills really throttled the Packers Sunday Night Football-wise. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Put down the 10.5.
I say this slightly tongue-in-cheek. I've been dealing with Nate all week about it. He's not a big fan of the way everything ended in the second half for the Bills, but you kept them at arm's length, which that's all you really need to do in football. And
there was no threat they were going to lose that game.
Aaron Rodgers is done, right? Can we stop with the Aaron Rodgers shtick already? Kind of like the Tom Brady thing.
Well, I mean, he was cocky.
And it sucks. I want to talk more. I'd like to make this more about the Bills because, I mean, they really are just a machine right now. But, can we just stop it?
He needed Devontae Adams. And the only reason Adams isn't working out I shouldn't say he's not working out, but the reason the Raiders aren't winning games is because they don't have a head coach. Mm-hmm. Josh McDaniels is not a head coach in the NFL. And none of Belichick's assistants are. So that's my takeaway from that. Because they were terrible. Didn't Raiders get shut out this week?
Yeah, they did. I wouldn't say the Raiders are none of the Belichick disciples can coach.
Really?
I mean,
there's two of them back on his team that can't figure out what job they have.
I mean, one's kind of getting blackballed right now. So,
is Vrabel in his?
Yeah, Vrabel's technically a Belichick descendant. I guess there's one.
He's good.
Yeah. But I mean, outside of that, congrats to Russell Wilson. I guess he kind of cooked in England a little bit.
Who cares what that guy does?
I mean, other than that, I mean, there wasn't, to me, a lot that stood out within the week.
The trade deadline has passed.
Yeah.
But Odell Beckham Jr. is still out there.
Are you down with a reunion?
I'm down with a reunion, yes. Yeah. I am.
So, I think he's going to end up with, in all honesty, I think he ends up back with, we'll call any one of the three New York franchises. I think the Jets have a small window if they want to try and go and get him because.
I mean, I don't mean to be biased, but I think he's going back to New York.
I think for sure, too, they're Giants or Bills. I think the Bills are still in play.
He's not going back to the Rams.
I know he's not going back there.
They can throw out.
I mean, there's a bad Super Bowl hangover that we probably should discuss more, but we're kind of running out of time on it. So, but yeah, I mean, the Rams and Bengals are not playing good football collectively. They just aren't. And then you have a report that came out earlier this week about McVay again and how long he still wants to coach. I mean, it sounds like he'll be there as long as the core's there, but I mean, you have Aaron Donald who's already more or less said this is probably it for him. Like,
Von Miller was a big loss.
Yeah. I don't know. Would these be the closest to being probably two collective, I wouldn't say frauds in the Super Bowl, but last year, Rams and Bengals. I wouldn't call them frauds in the Super Bowls, but
one of them won it, so
I mean, it might be collectively the two teams that.
It's like
hey, look, luck plays a piece in this, right? I mean, I say I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week.
It's hard to compare the Rams to a small market,
right?
But you look at go to baseball, Kansas City Royals. Mm-hmm. They went for it, got out, brought in all these players, won the World Series
collectively across 2 years. Yeah,
and now they're trying to get back, but
Yeah.
That's a small market team, baseball. Rams, they went out and got all these guys. They brought them all
but
in.
To be fair, though, it's different, though, for the Rams in football. I mean, they're kind of a transient franchise in a big market.
And it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Their home games.
Yeah.
Did you see that last game?
Yeah.
The Niners?
Well, no, it's the same thing for the Chargers.
You could have sworn it was in San Francisco.
It's the same thing for the Chargers. I've said this about, and this is a different discussion, but I've said this about, obviously, and this isn't a discussion that we'll have on here, but you look at, like, the A's, kind of comes out that, they're.
I hear they're going to Vegas.
I wouldn't say more than likely going to Vegas. I think it's a power play to get Oakland to play ball again here on the stadium deal. But, like, the only team that's going to do well in Vegas is going to be the Knights. They got there first. They planted roots there. They're not a franchise that, moved in. They're an expansion franchise in that market. They got roots. The Raiders, they're a transient franchise. Don't get me wrong. That team still will probably be 75% Raider fans, give or take. But that's just because there's Raiders fans all across the country. Like, my dad's a Raiders fan.
Yeah, they're very popular.
I mean,
Oakland Athletics are not very popular.
No, that's why their home games there will literally just be visiting teams because fans just want the appeal of being at a baseball game in Las Vegas.
And I don't understand the Rams. They had a good thing going in St. Louis.
Right, and that's what's going to happen here. I mean, the Rams. I know the Rams were in LA, but when they left on such a bad note that the Rams fans that were in LA ended up becoming fans of either like the 49ers or somebody else because they were just sick of what happened. And that's why it's the same thing with the Chargers, right? The Chargers were actually the original LA franchise back in the day.
It's just LA, not to be like we're New York people,
We are.
But LA fan base is just terrible overall.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe there's a Clippers fan out there. I don't. Why would you root for that team? But
I think there are probably more true LA Clippers. I think there's more true Clippers fans that are LA natives than there are Laker fans at this point. You know what I mean?
I think their most loyal franchises are the Lakers and the Dodgers. But when they're not good, they don't care.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I don't know. All right, let's get into picks. We're going to have to kind of rapid fire this based on time here. Tonight, Thursday Night Football, Eagles at Houston. Eagles are 13.5-point favorite.
Going Eagles.
Eagles as well.
This kills me to say that. But.
Sunday, Bills at the Jets.
Ooh. I think this game's going to be closer than people think, but I'm going with the Bills.
It's a 12-point spread. I see what you mean. Probably something like a backdoor cover situation, if you will. But I'm taking the Bills as well. Dolphins at the Bears. Bears are a 5-point dog at home.
Dolphins at the Bears.
Yeah.
Going Dolphins.
Dolphins here, but beware the weather in Chicago. Beware the weather. Vikings at the Commanders. Commanders are a 3.5-point dog at home.
Riding the Commanders, man. I think the Vikings, they play at Buffalo next week. They're thinking ahead. I think Washington takes advantage of their old quarterback.
So I'm going to do what I've been doing pretty much all season here. And I know you're going to do it here, but that's okay. I have my reason already. I'm going to take the Vikings here.
Why?
Yeah, because one, I've been picking against the Commanders, and they've been winning now. So you got to keep that up. And, until Dan Snyder sells, I'm all out.
Minnesota's not good. Minnesota is not good.
They're a fraud. They're a fraud 6-1 is what you're saying?
I think so.
All right.
Them the Eagles, not buying in them.
Panthers at the Bengals. Bengals are a 7.5-point favorite.
Panthers at the Bengals.
I'm taking P.J. Walker and the Panthers.
You're crazy. Joe Burrow just had a bad game, so I'm going Bengals.
Colts at the Patriots. Patriots are a 5.5-point favorite at home.
Colts are so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
I'm taking the Pats.
Taking the Patriots.
Yeah.
I don't care who the quarterback is.
Packers at the Lions. Lions are a 3.5-point dog at home.
At the Lions?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Lions. I'm going with Detroit. Imagine that. What would that be? His fifth straight loss or something like that, Aaron Rodgers?
I'm all in on that, by the way. That's the only reason
Well,
I'm
we
taking.
know.
The only reason
We know.
the only reason I'm taking Detroit is because I want there to be a Rodgers meltdown. Because I think if this loss happens, I think it happens.
Yeah, like all the other ones are bad, but this one
Yeah.
to the Lions.
100%.
Imagine if you lost to the Bears.
I think this is where the meltdown happens if they lose, and that's why I'm taking the Lions. Chargers at the Falcons. Falcons 3-point dog at home.
Don't remind me this one's on, but taking the Chargers.
Same. Is that the game? Which game's in like Munich or something, or is that 2 weeks
Next
from now?
week,
That's
Seattle.
Next week?
It's Seattle,
Okay.
Tampa Bay.
Oof, that's rough stuff for the Bucs. At least Seattle's on a bye week this week. Or no, they aren't. Seattle's not on a bye week this week. Either way, Vegas at the Jaguars. Jaguars are a 1.5-point dog at home.
I like the Jaguars in this game.
Same.
I like ETN.
Yeah.
He's now the man there. He's getting better.
Only 2 4:00 games this week because of the byes. And we have the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals, 4:05. Cardinals are a 2-point favorite.
Seahawks coming off the big win over the Giants.
I just can't trust the Cardinals offense still until I see some
I
consistency.
like them at home. Taking the Cardinals.
I'm going to go Seattle. Probably actually a pick'em game. That's what 2-point spreads usually mean to a degree.
Yeah.
It's like a pick'em without being a pick'em. 4:25 Rams at the Bucks. The Buccaneers are a 3-point favorite.
I like the Rams +3.
Same.
Yeah, the Bucks are bad. That offensive line's killing them.
This spread is a bit big in my mind for this game, but I think I can see why potentially. Titans at the Chiefs for Sunday Night Football, 12.5 points. The Chiefs are favored over the Titans.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane. Give me.
I'm doing it. This is one of those Chiefs to win, Titans to cover.
Give me Titans money line.
Wow.
I think they're going to go in there and they're going to beat them. Not because of what's his name, Malik
Willis.
Willis. Even though I do like him better than Tannehill. Derrick Henry's going to have another great game. And I think the Titans are going to pull off the upset.
Last one, Monday Night Football, Ravens at the Saints. Ravens are a 2.5-point favorite on the road.
The Ravens are a 2-point favorite.
Yep.
I like them. I like that game.
As do I. All right. Before we get out here, talk a couple minutes on the World Series. Phillies and Astros tied up at
That's
2
it?
apiece.
World Series, then we're done?
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain,
I forgot
Joey Logano,
about
Chase Elliott.
I forgot about the
You don't think I
NASCAR.
do.
I
You
forgot
don't
about
think I
I
do.
forgot about the NASCAR championship. We'll touch on that for a minute. But the World Series, Tied it to a piece between the Astros and
who cares
Phillies.
about that?
Hold on. It's good to see Bryce Harper having his moment here.
Yeah, it's finally like it's coming out like that he's a
weird.
superstar.
Which is weird.
Because he's been in the league so long. Yeah. But
I think a lot of it has to do with
he needed this though if he wanted to be like one of the greats.
I mean,
his era.
he's better than Trout.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Trout's 0-3 against the Royals in the playoffs.
Exactly. The Astros are getting led by some, I wouldn't say unusual suspects, right? I think we all kind of, the way baseball is, right, we expect Altuve to be leading the drum, but no, it's been Jordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, and Kyle Tucker. Been weird.
I love how we're just like casually going in. There was a no-hitter last night.
Well, this is where I was about to head into. Combined no-hitter thrown by Houston. Christian Javier gets a start.
Just the third ever, right?
Third ever no-hitter in the postseason. First one since 2010, which was in Philadelphia. Roy Halladay threw a no-no for the Phillies.
Against your dad's Reds.
Against the Cincinnati Reds in NLDS Game 1. Nate heard this earlier, so he will have to abstain from this this trivia question. But who was the manager of the Cincinnati Reds in 2010 for that game?
Dusty Baker.
It was Dusty Baker.
Come on.
Full
I know his
circle.
last game as the Reds manager, too. 2013 wild card game. Come on.
Who could forget, right?
Yeah, greatest game of all time.
I'm on the fence about this because, to me, a combined no-hitter is still a no-hitter. But I do agree with people in this regard. It's going to get forgotten about. Right? I mean, we know about Roy Halladay's no-hitter. We know about the perfect game that Don Larson threw, right?
Yep.
But when it comes time to talk about the third no-hitter in postseason history, right, it's just Houston because people aren't going to just automatically attach themselves to Christian Javier, who started the game and got, obviously, the ball rolling, 9 Ks and I think 2 walks. But, it was him to Abreu to Montero to Presley. And you aren't going to rattle off 4 pitchers in the way that you can just rattle off
In
Halladay
today's
and
game,
Larson.
you're going to see so many more combined no-hitters, so...
Yeah. I mean, I understand it's part of it, and
When was the last time Houston threw a combined no-hitter?
June against the Yankees.
Oh, well, there it is.
You know who started that game too?
I thought it was Valdez.
No, Christian Javier.
Really?
Yeah.
I know Presley finished it off.
I'm pretty sure. I know for a fact Presley and Montero were the first two. Were the last two anyway. So
same combination, started and finished.
yeah.
Javier and then the closer.
I know Montero.
Name's escaping me.
I know Montero. Presley the closer.
Yeah,
But I know
thank you.
Montero threw the 8th as well in that game. I don't know if it was a Abreu for also. In
Are the
game,
Phillies
but-
done?
No, 2-2. I don't
They
think so.
have to win at Houston to win the World
Yeah,
Series.
but I mean, the positive about this is it's a best of 3 now.
Must win, though.
It's a best of 3 now, right?
Must win this next game, though.
Tonight is pretty much a must win, and they're doing a bullpen style game, if you will. I know it's Verlander versus Syndergaard technically. If there's any solace in this, I mean, the Phillies pretty much have all the bullpen. I don't know if they'll go Alvarado at all, given I think he threw 20 or 25 pitches last night. But, yeah, I mean, they got all the horses. Sorry about that.
I think they should sign Cliff Lee for tonight.
Just bring him back one time around to get shelled, because that's what would happen. Yeah, but I mean, best of 3 series, I do agree. I think if they do want the realistic shot at winning the World Series tonight, you have to win. And that way you just have to win 1 game in Houston. And at that point, it's for sure you have Zach Wheeler going 1 game, and you for sure have Ranger Suarez going for the other.
That's right. When Roy Halladay threw that no-hitter, it was at the same place.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How do you think about that?
So it sounds like you're leaning Houston the rest of the way. Because by the time we reconvene next week, we will have a World Series champion.
Because it will end by Sunday.
Yep, or on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm leaning Houston in 6. I think they take the next 2.
I think we'll go Phillies in 7 at this point.
Phillies in 7?
Yeah.
So they definitely are winning tonight, you're saying. They are not winning the next.
Yeah. Verlander hasn't looked good in the postseason. I think,
He's been really bad in the World
we
Series.
go after guys like Kershaw in the postseason, and we tend to forget about Verlander not pretty much being the same thing, actually, to be honest. So probably helps being, Kate Upton's husband. You do mention, though, before we get out of here, obviously NASCAR, I forgot. They're in the championship round.
How could you forget?
I didn't forget, but, I mean, we haven't talked about the playoffs at all. I mean, Ross Chastain had a video game move to lock himself into the championship 4.
Christopher Bell got the big
Christopher
win.
Bell got the big win, the walk-off win, and obviously Chase Elliott and Joey Logano joined them for the championship four in Phoenix. Who's your pick?
Chase Elliott all the way, man.
Okay.
That's my boy.
What about in the truck series? It's Ty Majeski, Zane Smith, Chandler Smith, and Ben Rhodes.
I haven't been catching up with the trucks. I can't even remember what you just told me, but
Chandler Smith, Zane Smith, Ben Rhodes, Ty Majeski.
Are their brothers Smiths?
No.
I'll go.
Nate's even.
I'll go Zane Smith.
It's a good pick. He's been good all year, but I'm going Ty Majeski.
All right, let's hear the Xfinity.
Xfinity series. It's Josh Berry, Justin Allgaier, Noah Gregson, and Ty Gibbs, who had a very controversial win last weekend.
Ty Gibbs is my boy.
Oh God, you are disgusting.
Monster Energy, baby.
Oh gosh, give me Josh Berry.
Can I ask a Ross Chastain question?
Sure.
If he finds himself in a similar situation, will he do it again?
I think he'll try, but I don't think it will work the same way it did at Martinsville. Phoenix's corners are much more wider in terms of going through them and longer. So
probably one of the biggest moments in NASCAR history, right?
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a move. To put it in context this way, the NBC clip of Ross Chastain at Martinsville has over, I believe, 8.5 million views on Twitter. Daytona 500 only had 4.5 million. So just to put that into context for a quick second, that's what we got. So it transcended even within motorsports to pop culture.
Really?
I mean, it was the number one play on SportsCenter last Sunday. You have people in other sports even talking about. It was a topic of discussion in Sunday Night Football last week.
And you did it on PlayStation. You got like 50,000 views.
Yeah, we're almost at 80,000 views on that TikTok.
Yeah, you're popular, man.
Oh, gosh. I can't live up to it.
I got your like. I
I
gave you
can't
like.
live up to it. VP Roos on TikTok if you're bored and want to go check out my nonsense.
It's a phenomenal
He's
video.
got great content.
Yeah. So that will take care of Fresh Takes for today. Nick, who are you shouting out?
Wait, who
Who
you picking?
I'm going to go Chase Elliott. He's probably been the most consistent all year out of the four, so I'll go Chase. Chase, Barry, Majeski.
You heard it from him.
So, Nick, who are you shouting out this week?
I'm shouting out my friend Larry Morris.
Larry, congratulations to Larry, by the way.
Yeah, had his first kid, so yep.
The
Congrats,
Jerry One League is becoming full fathers.
Yeah, we got 4 kids now. In the hockey league alone. So
That's wild.
yeah. So eventually, when the year 2060 comes around,
We'll be in good hands.
we'll be in good hands. We'll be all retired.
The kids will be 40.
But shout out Larry.
Shout out to
Congrats.
Larry. All right. Like, share, subscribe on YouTube, fingerlicks1.com. Check out all our stuff. Daily Show, us, Kenny's to Pennies, all the fun stuff. Appreciate that. Catch us live at some point next week, to be determined. We'll find our spot to fit in. Find us on Anchor, Spotify, all the major podcasting platforms. Nate, hit that music because we are out.